and thank you for coming out. We really appreciate the turnout. My name is Heather Walsh. I am the president of the Central Regional PTA, and I would like to introduce tonight's moderators. We have Mr. Zach Abbott, Jonathan Ramirez-Torres, and Andrew E. We'll be following a town hall type format, and each candidate is going to be given 3 minutes to speak, and then we will begin asking questions that the moderators will choose from a list of pre-approved questions randomly. Afterwards, there will be refreshments out in the hallway, and there will be some time to speak one-on-one with the candidates. We extended an invitation to all 7 candidates. I'm going to read their names now. Marissa Borowski, Megan Bowens, Carol Cousins, Danielle Grohowitz, Heather Koenig, Kia Fua, and Lisa Vargas. I will let each candidate introduce themselves when they have their 3 minutes. And again, thank you very much for attending.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to preface this by mentioning I'm a little nervous. I spend my days talking to children every day and all day, so they laugh at my jokes and don't judge me. So in in a room full of adults, I sometimes get a little nervous, so don't mind me if I just take a moment and pause to gather my thoughts. Good evening, everyone. My name is Megan Bowens, and I'm a candidate for the Central Regional School Board. My running mate, Danielle, and I are thrilled to be here tonight. We've been planning and preparing for this opportunity, and are excited to share our passion for improving the school district with all of you. Danielle and I are not only running mates, but also sister-in-laws. When I asked her to run with me, she enthusiastically said yes, and since then, we've been working hard to bring fresh ideas and excitement to this campaign. I'm grateful to have such a strong, like-minded partner in this journey. Now, a little bit about myself. I was born in Chicago in 1987. Do the math, mental math. Moved around a lot, living in Florida and California, but all that traveling helped me become adaptable. I earned my degrees in education at Florida Atlantic University, where I met my husband, Doug. He was born and raised right here in Bayville and graduated from Central Regional. We moved back to Bayville to start our family, and we've been raising our 2 sons, Jacob and Adam, who are growing up in this wonderful, close-knit community. I have been an educator for 16 years, and I hold a master's degree in curriculum and instruction and assessment. This background equips me with the tools to design, implement, and evaluate curriculum, making sure it meets the diverse needs of our students. I'm also committed to using data to drive decisions that will improve student outcomes. What truly sets me apart is my dual perspective as both a parent and an educator. I understand the challenges that students, families, and teachers face, and I'm committed to balancing the academic achievement with the social and emotional well-being of our students. I believe in creating an inclusive environment where every child feels valued and supported. Addressing issues like bullying and racism is also critical. I'm dedicated to strengthening our policies, providing professional development for staff, and fostering a positive, respectful school culture where every child and staff member feels safe. Thank you all for your time. I want to say especially thank you to the Teachers Union and the PTA for organizing this event. What a great opportunity for us all to come out, hear the candidates, meet us all. I hope you have a chance to stop by and discuss any questions that you have, ask any questions. And I'm excited to bring my passion for education to the school board and help make our district the best that it can be for every student. Thank you so much.
everyone. Thank you guys so much for joining us, for being here tonight. I can tell that everybody in this room obviously really values education and the Golden Eagles, so I appreciate everyone who took the time to come out. 15 years ago was my last speaking engagement here at Central. It was my graduation night because I was the Student Congress President here at Central, and I would love to tell you that I'm a lot less nervous this evening than I was, but to echo Megan, I'm not. But I'm really energized by all of you being here in this room and just really excited to lay out some of our plans to bring integrity and unity to Central Regional School Board. These schools really are a vital part of our community and a cornerstone, as you've heard, of my own family. I'm thrilled to have partnered up with Megan, who's an absolute educational powerhouse. I really hope you guys all have a chance to take a look at our different sets of qualifications and what really prepares us to join this board. And I just genuinely believe that Central Regional is a district that we all deserve to be excited about and see what lies ahead in our future. My primary goal as a candidate is to empower all students, staff, and families in this amazing district. Our teachers really need the resources to prepare these kids for success. Our students deserve a safe learning environment in which to thrive, and all of the families here should be equipped as proactive stakeholders in their own children's education. By leading with common sense and compassion, we'll ensure that all students are able to receive a rich education. We also aim to enhance communication and support families' rights to utilize Central's opt-out program if that's what you feel is best for your family. Your trust is really our top priority. I've been inspired by Dr. Carney Ray Yoder, our newer superintendent's inclusion and anti-bullying initiatives, and as a board member, I'm really motivated to make sure that we're gathering data to assess their performance, make sure they're working, and make sure that we're pivoting where we need to ensure that this is the best environment for our kids. Like I said, sorry, nerves. As a major proponent for extracurricular education and opportunities, I would absolutely advocate for more civic engagement lessons and opportunities that foster critical thinking and really make our kids feel a connection to their community, because it's important. It really leads to a greater sense of pride in the student population and the community at large. And of course, safety remains a top priority. Meg and I will definitely partner on making sure that there's a completion of a multi-layer security perimeter to complement the efforts to counteract some of the internal threats like bullying in the schools. So we're making sure that the kids are safe inside and outside of these buildings. And a lot of these programs can be funded through grant funding and alternative streams of revenue, because we really want to try our best to offset some of the tax burden. To be completely transparent, we are facing a budget gap due to some expiring state funds this year, and resolving that is really going to require dynamic leadership and a skill set in finding that kind of funding, in making sure that some of our assets are collecting enough interest to make a difference, and making sure that we're protecting financial responsibility here. We really cannot afford to elect trustees with personal agendas that risk litigation and loss of state funding, so on and so forth, and this district deserves better than that. And if you entrust Megan and I with your vote, we will work hard every day, starting on day one, to try to make a positive impact for every single student, teacher, and family member that comes our way in Central Regional. And we will lead with integrity and unity to make sure that Central is the district that we all deserve, that we can all be proud of. So thank you all again for coming tonight, and for all of your commitment to the Golden Eagles.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Carol Cousins, and I am a former educator for 37 years, 2 years in Cincinnati, Ohio, which is my home. And I think 49 years ago, I moved to Lakewood, New Jersey, and that's where I taught for 35 years. I have 2 children, and I have 3 grandchildren who are the apple of my eyes. So ask anyone, they're the ones that keep me going every day. My one granddaughter is actually a junior here at Central Regional High School, and I'm very proud of the education that she's receiving. I decided to run for the Board of Ed several years ago, And then this year I decided to come back because I felt like I have something to offer the district. There are many changes occurring throughout this country, and I think that many of us have forgotten about the fact that education is the cornerstone of this country. We all need and deserve an education. And I want you to just think for a minute about your education. I'm sure in your life, during your years in school, there's some teacher who touched your heart. I'm amazed at the teachers' names that I still remember. And this morning, while I was trying to practice and think about what I was going to say, I actually remembered a 5th grade teacher who had us do poetry. And one of the poems was about little orphan Annie has come to our house to stay. And that poem was just going through my head. And as I was thinking about that poem, I thought, oh my gosh, you know, we need to treasure our teachers, our educational system, and we need to support the educational systems wherever they are. They need you, they need the students, they need the teachers, and they need the community. And so I'm hoping that once I'm elected to the board, that I would be able to make sure that the parents are more involved in what's happening in the school system. I think I'm qualified because of the fact, as I said, I was an educator for 37 years actually. I'm currently still part of the educational system in Ocean County. I'm a member of the Ocean County Retired Educators. I'm actually the social action or the government relations chairperson of that county for Ocean County and also for Monmouth County. I'm still very active with the school system. I do as much as I can to support the school system. It is very important to me. And so I hope that as we answer questions through this procedure, that you will see that I do have something to offer the school system here at Central Regional, and I hope that you will continue to come out and support the school system. Thank you.
Nothing like being last. Good evening, everyone. Most of you know me from my many years on the PTA. However, I realize that many of you don't know me at all, and I'm hoping to change that just a little bit this evening. My name is Lisa Vargas, and I've had the privilege of calling Berkeley Township my home for the past 24 years. I am most times blessed to be married to a teacher, and I have 2 daughters who attend Central Regional High School. I currently serve as the Director of Transportation for the Barnegat Township School System, with my professional backgrounds being in law enforcement and EMS. I hold a master's degree in emergency management and a supervisor's certificate from Rutgers. I know that I'm a long shot for a seat on the board, especially after listening to these ladies behind me, but I've never been afraid to take a chance if it means being part of the solution. I've also never been afraid to answer the questions or make decisions, even when it might not be popular or maybe not what people want to hear. Over the years, I've been directly involved and actively involved in my communities through volunteer work, including leadership roles with the PTA and other organizations such as EMS and community programs in my district role. These experiences, I believe, have strengthened my passion for public service and a commitment to working collaboratively to address the needs of our schools and our community. I'm running for the Board of Education because I believe in the power of education to transform lives. Our district plays a vital role in shaping the future of our children, and I want to ensure that every student has access to the resources and opportunities they need to thrive. As both a parent and a school district leader, I understand the importance of supporting our educators, making thoughtful decisions about budgets and policy, and creating a school environment that fosters growth for all. The Board of Education should serve the collective interests of students, educators, and the community, not individual goals. I'm committed to keeping the focus on what matters most, the success and well-being of our children and our schools. I support initiatives that enhance school safety and improve student mental health services, anti-bullying efforts, enforce safety protocols, and promote emotional support systems for students to encourage strong partnerships between the schools and families with emphasis on collaborative decision-making. With my experience in district areas such as transportation and budgets and governance, I think I bring a unique perspective to the board, and I'm committed to listening to concerns, advocating for the students and the teachers, and working towards solutions that benefit our community. Together we can ensure that our schools continue to be a place where students succeed academically, socially, and emotionally. I want to thank you for your time and thank the PTA and the Education Association, and I look forward to your support as a candidate for the Board of Education. Thank you.
Hello, Ms. Bellens. The first question is, why are you running for the school board? If elected, what will be your priorities?
Okay. Thank you so much for that question. One of the reasons, there's several that come to mind of why I'm interested in running for the Board of Education. One thing is sitting right in front of us right now, and it's not the only reason, but it's certainly a very, very important driving factor for both myself and my running mate, Danielle. We have my two sons, Jacob and Adam, that Jacob will be going up to Central Regional next year, and our two nieces sitting here as well that will also attend Central Regional. So they are my vested interest, our vested interest, among many other things. We also want to highlight that Central Regional is a cornerstone of this community. We would like to improve this cornerstone by strengthening its relationship with the community. We believe that one of the ways to do that is through transparency. It's part of our slogan, it's very important to us, and it's also a cornerstone of our campaign. Transparency to us could be improved at Central, specifically in the area of how we get information out to parents, how parents can be informed. It's such a simple solution, yet we still are not utilizing it. So I would love to discuss what I mean by that. For time's sake, I'm not going to go into specifics, but we have a wonderful plan on how to do that, how to implement that within the district. A hot topic is opt-out forms. One way, we have a wonderful opt-out system in our district, but the problem is that parents don't know how to access that. They don't have that information right at their hands. They should have that. It's a very, very simple solution to a problem. We can fix that. That's not one of those things that, you know, should be something we're facing as a problem in the board at this point. So, do I have one more moment? Okay. The last thing I'll say, thank you. The last thing I'll say is, Danny and I really noticed that our new superintendent, Dr. CREA, has a lot of wonderful initiatives that she is putting forth to boost and have a cohesive mental health, which, you know, the crisis of mental health in not only our district, but in our state and in our country, we're facing that head on. She has wonderful initiatives. We have been at the last few board meetings, talking with her, talking with the board members, talking with the public, and we really are so excited to get involved. And you know, it's not just because we would like to benefit our own children, nieces. It's because we genuinely believe that every child should be set up for success within this district and within this community. Thank you so much for that question.
If anybody else would like to answer the same question, that's fine as well. We're going to pass it down this way to us, and then Ms. Growitz, you're up next. You're welcome to answer that question. I also have a follow-up. If there's a particular issue that motivates you to want to join the Board of Education in the first place.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I would love to follow up, kind of follow up my running mate's answer, and of course the follow-up question as well. So what made me really want to join the Board of Ed is, like I said earlier, I'm an alumnus of Central Regional. I'm really proud Golden Eagle. I moved away for about a decade and came home to put my roots down with my husband. And I've always kind of kept my finger on the pulse of what was happening. I'm really proud of this alma mater, and really, I always want to see the kids and teachers and everybody here succeed. And I know there's been some real difficulty that has seemed kind of steadfast the last couple of years. And that's kind of distressing as someone who intends to send my own children here and wants everybody here to do well. And I think Megan and I truly have a combined skill set between her educational qualifications and my business acumen as a project manager that can really set right some of the issues this district has been facing, and also allow us to get to another level of achievement as a school system. So just generally wanting everybody to be more proud of this district and the community to be more connected to it is what drove me. And there are a couple of key priorities that I would want to address kind of starting on day one. As I mentioned, there is a budget gap that we're facing, and it really is going to take some hard work and some true leadership to address that and set it right and kind of get us back into the green. Of course, we've heard that bullying and discrimination are continuous in this district, and we really support many different initiatives that support emotional well-being, mental well-being, ensuring that there's inclusion and like consistent anti-bullying policies in place and that they're being enforced. And that is where I'll leave it. Those are really my key priorities.
Thank you.
Hello, Ms. Cousins. Another follow-up question. What specific skills have you prepared you to serve as a board member?
Well, as I said, I was an educator for 37 years. I was the president of the Lakewood Education Association for the last 5 years that I worked. And I think that that skill set, that job in itself, gives me the skill set to work as a board member. I was always very active in the school system. I'm very active even now in the community. I think it's most important that board members have a heartbeat on what's happening in the schools. Not that they're always there, but they need to have a heartbeat on what the children are experiencing so that they can address issues. I know that there has been an issue with bullying, and I'm also concerned about diversity, training, equity, only because of the fact that many of our communities are evolving into, our school systems particularly, are evolving into different communities than what they traditionally used to be. And I think that we all collectively need to understand each other. So we come from different places, different cultures, different backgrounds, but I feel that we can all make that circle that we create to make us work together. The students, the parents, the staff, the superintendent, and the Board of Ed. You create that circle, you have a wonderful school district functioning for you. And I just think that all children, obviously I went into education, everyone is entitled to a thorough and efficient education, and every student should be pushed to do what they are capable of doing.
Vargas, what unique qualities would you bring to this role?
Unique, I'm sorry. Oh, I have many. I'm kidding. So again, as I said in my introduction, throughout my professional and volunteer career, I've held many leadership roles. However, I think that in my role as a district employee now, and I'm extremely involved in my home district in terms of transportation, but we're also very involved in governance and budget, and we're talking about smart budget at this point. And we know that going into the next year, we're going to have probably more fiscal cuts here, and I think we need to be budget smart about that. And I think that my skill set is that I'm a person where I can see both sides, and we can really look at it and say, what is best for the students, what's best for the educators? Let's all put our heads together and see what it is that we can do to not cut programs, to not riff teachers, to not riff paraprofessionals, to not have the students lose out or have the staff lose out. And let's really just sit down and say, from administrators to board members to teachers to cafeteria workers to playground aides to whatever it is we have in a district, how can we come together and see where we can save on a budget? It's not going to be about where we can save money coming up in this next school year. I'm going to tell you that now. It's going to be that the money is not there. And we know that coming in. All the candidates know that. The money is not going to be there. So what is it that we can do? And a smart administration and a smart superintendent and a smart board will pull people together and say, what can you do in your department? What can you do in your department? So that we don't cut the arts and we don't cut things like that. And I think that my skill set, I think I'm really pretty good at that. I think I can really see both sides of it. And again, as I said before, I'm not afraid to say, no, I'm sorry, I can't vote yes on that. But if I have to vote yes because it's the best thing for the school at that time, I will do it, even if it's not popular. And I talk too much, I know. It's round.
Ms. Vargas, I don't think you talk too much.
Oh.
I thought it was a wonderful answer. I've actually been very impressed with everybody's answers so far. And I actually am going to skip to a different question just based on something you said, Ms. Vargas. I'm going to go to you, Ms. Bowens. Question here says, could you support a board decision that you did not vote in favor of? Why or why not?
Well, I would say that is an answer you have to take a lot into consideration to really answer that question because, in my opinion, there's no I in team. And when you are a part of a board, it's really for a greater good. You might be a single vote, but that's not what gets something passed. So, in my opinion, this is a conversation about professionalism and being able to, which is very difficult, by the way, on a board because as we see sometimes, a lot of grown adults aren't able to have conversation as adults that are civil and they can come to some type of like-minded conclusion. This is a part of the skill set that I was going to mention to follow up is I believe is one of my skills, just to touch kind of on her last answer. I possess that specific skill set of being able to problem solve and communicate effectively as an adult. And I believe that I can, because also I model that for students every day. And that's what we're doing as a board is we're modeling that for students as well as parents. So we need to be able to come together and do that professionally, whether that be in closed session. Even in a closed session, there are a lot of situations that particular board members don't believe in. We are upheld to our state mandates, which do really need to be, kept in consideration when we are voting, because our district cannot afford, as we've mentioned, to have, litigations that lead to added district funds. And I do believe that we have to really be mindful of that when we vote. So to answer your question and sum it up, I'm not sure that I would vote collectively no on something that would lead to negative outcomes for our district. If I felt that it was in the best interest of the students and the staff, I would challenge it in any legal way I could see that I could do so.
Mrs. Grohowitz. What do you believe is the greatest challenge about school board service?
I'm sorry, could you just repeat the last word of that question?
Service.
Thank you, that's kind of what I thought. And you did a great job on my last name, thank you. I think to echo Megan's response just now to the previous question, I think being on a board of education that oversees such a big district, we have almost 2,400 kids, really requires a level of professionalism and just the ability to take your ego out of the situation, your own personal agenda, and your own personal opinion, no matter, like, I can feel really passionately about something, but if it isn't what's right for all of the students, or the vast majority of the students, and what's right for our educators, then it's really not worth, just calling until the cows come home. You really need to be able to put that aside and work on conflict resolution and team communication. And I think that has been a difficulty on this board and something that I would really want to see through and work on smoothing over a little bit. And yeah, I think that is probably the biggest difficulty this current board is facing. And then to Ms. Vargas's earlier point, when we're prospective board members and we're looking at coming into this large of a district that is having a budget gap, just making sure that we're always kind of skimming and seeing where grants are being offered, be it state, federal, private donations, that kind of thing. It's really just a continuous job that needs to keep being done, and being on a board is similar. You're never done. You get past one thing, there's always going to be another topic, and that just requires some stamina.
Hello, Mrs. Cousins. What about school board work are you most passionate about? Is there an area of educational service that you would really like to put your mark on?
That's good. Sorry, I'm a little bit technologically, every now and then I forget where the buttons are, so that's okay. Curriculum is an area that I am interested in. I'm listening to the questions about the budget. I'm not the budget-minded person, but I do have opinions as far as how money should be spent. I do believe that that as a board you have to do the things that are in the best interest of the district, the students, the teachers. They're the backbone of the district. But there are times when, sometimes you can't always agree with you're not going to ever agree with everybody. And I would say that being on the board is similar to negotiations. And I chaired negotiations when I was in Lakewood. I'm sure you know, we have 5,000 students and 700 staff members. We did at that time. And so there was always some negotiations going on. But I like to think that, that the board members can sit down and talk to one another and work situations out to the betterment of the district without putting in their personal opinions or personal needs. That has no place at a board meeting.
And just to follow up on that, and I think we all agree on that. And it's really a shame because I really like these ladies. But yeah, so I'll vote for one of you. Anyway, so I think that the biggest thing you have to remember as a Board of Education member is that you are elected to a volunteer position. But yet with that volunteer position comes great responsibility, and how you take that responsibility and use it in terms of hiring and terminating and or budget, unfortunately, the nasty word of cut or slashing or things like that. I really agree with everyone on here, and again, it's kind of odd because we had a lot of time to talk outside, and it's almost like we're all on the same page, which is wonderful because that means that hopefully the community and the school is moving in the right direction. And that's what we need here, because that's the biggest disconnect, I believe, is the board sits kind of up here and they're not down there where they should be, where we should be. So.
I just wanted to mention that Danny and I agree with you. We really appreciate you guys coming out tonight and having this conversation with us. It's really important for the community. And I also just wanted to mention, to follow up with the question, if elected onto the school board, one of the committees that I would really focus on being a part of is obviously the curriculum, committee that, and education, because obviously as an educator, it's my passion. I have a lot of knowledge and would love to apply that. I understand that, it could be looked at as, well, you might not be able to vote on certain things. I'm okay with that as long as we are developing curriculum that's going to be turnkey to, and selecting curriculum, appropriate curriculum for students, which that could be a whole conversation in itself, but my specific skill set allows me to be able to design, implement it, evaluate the curriculum, ensure that it aligns with educational standards, meets diverse needs of students. I've acquired this knowledge to be able to do this. We also need to look into data-driven instruction. So many board members sit on boards that have absolutely no idea how to take this information, interpret the information, and then actually use the information and apply it. And I believe that Danny and I have that skill set. And where one falls short, we have the communication together to be able to pick up where the other one falls short, inform ourselves to make the best decision for the district.
Real quick, I just want to tag on that I think you guys are clear now that we're sister-in-laws. We would also bring that level of communication to our fellow board members and make sure that we would only be 2 members of a 7-person panel. We are very strong in our collaboration and compromise, and that level of communication as well.
I do want to say that I'm very glad that you're all getting along. I don't want this to be a presidential debate on ABC, not David Muir. My next question is going to go to Ms. Vargas. If you were elected, Ms. Vargas, to the Board of Education, how accessible would you be to the community and community groups that request your time?
You sure my kids didn't come up and shut it off? Okay. I would be so accessible, you'd be sick of me. I'm, again, going back to, again, my roots in the PTA, which I think are just, they're so deep. And we were, the PTA, we were at everything. We were out. If there was a community involvement, a community event going on, we were out at that. If I'm elected, which I, again, hope with one of these other people, the dedication and the commitment and the support would be here. Would be to what the board needs, to what the students need, to what Central Regional School District needs. There is no question, and anybody who knows me would know that. And we can take a poll. Oh, wait. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, yes. No, but we could, I would be totally 100% committed, as I'm sure anybody else would be.
Would anyone else like to answer that question first?
I think I can kind of piggyback on Lisa's answer. I would be very accessible. I live as I say it, so don't anyone take offense to this, but I say I live in Wrinkle City. I live on the other side of the parkway in Holiday City. And most of those people over there, many of them, and I do talk to them, they have no clue what happens over here. And I'd say about maybe 10 years ago, just after I had retired, I was here speaking on behalf of the teachers because they were in negotiations. And I made a comment to them that, you know, at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock, or let's say now that it's getting dark, at 6 o'clock, the lights go off, right? So they're not coming over here to board meetings. There has to be some kind of way that we reach them, all right? Because they're there. And I listen to them sometimes criticize, you know, well, why are we paying taxes? And I'm one of those ones that, you know, I sometimes don't know how to shut my mouth. So, because I believe in education. And someone had to educate me, and I feel like, you know, I now have to turncoat that. So I would be very accessible, and I also would be very agreeable to trying to set up something so that we connect with that part of the community that is disconnected.
Thank you for leaving it on for me. And I am happy to follow up on this question because I am aware as a part-time commuter that I'm probably the wild card on this panel with this question. And to echo Lisa, if I were elected to the board, I think my fellow board members would absolutely be sick of me. One of my superpowers is that I'm always on, and when something is important to me, I will not turn my brain off. And I still have that stamina that I was discussing earlier to work on a project all night long, wake up at the crack of dawn, do my job, and then keep coming back to this thing because I can't turn my brain off. That being said, I am a part-time commuter because I have a job that's really fulfilling and really important to me. I'm a project manager based in New York City, but as you can see, I was here early enough tonight. I'm a millennial with an iPhone. I can do my job anywhere, but this district and civic engagement and leadership is really important to me. So yeah, the time management is not a concern of mine, and I would be available for questions to show up any and every time I'm needed, and I know Megan is equally committed. And just before I pass it over to you so you can confirm that you're just as dedicated, I just want to highlight Ms. Cousins' point that it really is a matter of connecting with the population in Holiday City, reaching our parents. It does feel like there's been a disconnect between Central Regional School District and some of those groups, and we have really been working hard to get our word out in those communities while campaigning, and that's also something that I'm passionate about were I to be elected. I really want our kids to feel like part of the community, including that senior population, and I want the senior population to be proud of and be aware of what's happening here in Central. It's a big opportunity for us, and intergenerational learning is great for the well-being of both adolescents and the senior population. So.
Mrs. Bowens, what issues do you believe Central Regional needs to address in its academic program and offerings? What changes would you recommend?
Can you repeat the question one more time, please?
You got it.
What issues do you believe Central Regional needs to address in its academic programs and offerings? What changes would you recommend?
Okay, so I can't say that I would make too many changes. I do believe that the teaching staff and administration are doing a really good job with educating our students at Central Regional. Specifically looking at the curriculum, I know that we have had a lot of conversation around the health curriculum, and I have read it through and through. I do feel that it would be important to keep a close eye on age-appropriate text, also to the point before, making sure that we bring stakeholders in the community, parents, even students, asking them about how they feel about the curriculum that they're being taught. I also believe that we have to be cognizant of, special programs, that they're not cut by funding that's coming down the pike. We have to make sure that we protect those programs because the students deserve to have that access. Not only to equitable education, but also to special programs like VOCs and technical programs such as that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I would change. I also believe that it's okay to say that so as an educator myself in my district, I could tell you a ton of things that I would change because I'm living the everyday life. I am not a high school teacher. I have never been a part of a board, and I believe that to give a concise and clear answer, one has to actually do the work and have the experience. And it's okay to be able to say, I need that time, I need that experience, I need to be able to work in that capacity to find out what I need to change. Because the change comes within. So I do believe I need a little bit more of experience before stating some of those, maybe obvious opinions so that I can make an informed decision on what I would change.
All right, I wanted to just piggyback on that question. I was at a board meeting when there was some discussion regarding the health curriculum. So I think that might be the only thing. Everything else that I have had any experience with as far as the curriculum in the district is concerned seems to be on par. But I do know that was a major issue and it brought the parents out. They had many questions. And I was a little disturbed that the questions weren't necessarily addressed by the administration at the time. I see that evidently things have kind of just progressed naturally on its own. And so the parents don't seem to be concerned about it anymore. I believe that they went back to using the old health curriculum, the book, and that they didn't bring in the new book. So that might be a good or a bad thing. But I just think that collectively sometimes, when you see something coming down the pipe as far as curriculum is concerned, somehow or another, I think the board needs to, that's where you bridge the gap with the community so that they understand. And I was also a little surprised at the time when I was at that particular board meeting that they didn't suggest to the parents different avenues of where they can go as an outlet as a parent. For instance, that some of the health curriculum, comes down from the State Board of Education. So why not appeal to the State Board of Education? So I was a little surprised by that, but I just kind of sat there and kept my mouth shut. So.
Hello, Ms. Grubowicz. What are your areas of concern regarding student achievement in this school district? And given all the issues that arise, how can the board stay focused on student achievement?
This is a great question, thank you. I think less than achievement, concurrent with my concerns about achievement are more so student morale here in the high school. It's my understanding that there's been ongoing difficulty with just the overall atmosphere of being a kid and waking up every day and coming to this school. And like I said earlier, I think Dr. Carney Radioter's initiatives are really beneficial and definitely have the best intentions. but I think ensuring that we are assessing the performance of these initiatives, making sure that a positive impact is actually occurring as we're working on them, goes a long way to boosting overall achievement here in the schools. And I think, to Megan's earlier point, I'm not a board member yet. I'm not sure of some of the tools that they're using to measure student achievement, but there are lots of programs out there. Specifically, one is called Blinkit that kind of creates like a national demographic, a state demographic that we can measure our students against and make sure that our testing is on par, that our grade point averages are on par, that enough of our kids are excelling in extracurriculars, that we can see that they have the capacity to do more than just academics and go home. And that is something that's really been top of mind for me. I think leading back to that achievement, ensuring that we're setting you guys, our students, up for success as citizens and successful adults when you get out of school is a big concern of mine. Not a concern, it's something that I would prioritize. I want to make sure that our students are leaving Central with all the facts that they need to know, but also the tools to succeed and make sure they're civically engaged and able to handle finances, because student debt is out of control and the housing market is out of control. I want to make sure that our students understand those situations in life too.
I do believe student morale has a lot to do with student achievement. Like if you don't want to come to school or there's something bothering you and it's not being dealt with, that's a problem. But I do commend the district on the fact that, and I can only refer to my granddaughter because that's my firsthand experience, is whenever she's needed help, she does stay after school and the teachers are there to work with her. So I think that I would like to commend the teachers on that many of them do stay after and work with the students at the end of the day. And so that's a very commendable situation. So that means that there are students who do care, who stay and who care about where they are and how well, what their grades look like. But I do think that morale is a big deal. When you feel good about yourself and you get up in the morning and you're ready to go, you're ready to work. So if you don't feel that way, then you might not get anything out of me in the morning if I haven't had enough sleep at night. So, or if I just don't want to be there. So I think that the morale is a real big issue.
Ms. Cousins, I loved your answer so much I kind of wanted to follow-up question on that, if that's okay?
Okay.
Would you agree that the morale also transitions to the teachers here as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a kind of like a circle. It's like a loop. So when I was in the classroom, and I didn't teach high school, I'm an elementary teacher. I will say that. I will admit to that. I taught third grade for almost 20 years. But there's something about the first day of school. You set the tone the first day of school. The kids would come, and their heads are down. And so I wouldn't let them in the room unless they looked at me and said good morning. And so we did that for a whole week. Well, by the end of the week, the following week, I didn't have to stand at the door. They would walk in the room and say good morning. There are just certain things that staff has to do as well as students to set the tone for working in a classroom. So that is something that is very important. So the staff has to feel good about what they're doing too.
I just wanted to follow up on this. As some of you may know, my mom, right here in the crowd, was an educator for 40 years. I'm always with Megan, my sister-in-law, who's a 16-year educator, and our amazing mother-in-law is a paraprofessional, so I'm always surrounded by educators, and no one can vouch more than I can that our teachers, to your point, never leave work at school. I leave my office and the laptop is shut and it's done, but it's never that way for our educators and our staff. And so something that Megan and I are really passionate about and have discussed even not as board members, is trying to figure out a way to set up a panel of educators or a committee who would be able to provide transparent feedback to the Board of Ed without fear of consequences or retaliation, because it really is important to gather that kind of data on the educator's day-to-day experience, and to make sure that all of this positivity is also bubbling up to them, as you described. And so that is definitely a priority that's top of mind for us.
In transparency, which I know we've said that word a couple of times, but I don't feel that the public really knows that that exists. Meaning board members and staff members, teachers specifically, really do not have communication with one another. So if you think about that for a second, that's very concerning. Because from the inside, those are the day-to-day on the front lines. They're the people who are making things happen, are seeing what's going on, are identifying the issues, and they're living it out. They should be able to have a safe space to discuss with board members and have no fear of retaliation. They should be able to speak their minds in that safe atmosphere so that change can happen within. Instead, what ends up happening is they don't say anything. They bring it to their union, which is a good thing. This is why we have unions. Or they don't, and they just don't say anything. And that then leads to a poor morale as a whole. But what we would like to do, Danielle and I, is we would like to, as she mentioned, create some type of committee that allows teachers to safely be able to bring these concerns to a board and actually create change. That's how that change happens. Thank you.
Mrs. Cousins, what can Central Regional do to better prepare students as citizens?
Besides giving them a good education, making sure, through that education, making sure that they are exposed to civics, let's say, since we're in the middle of an election. Understanding how the government works, understanding that the government in many cases starts right here with people who run for the Board of Education and not from the top at the president level, all right? We need people, quality people, to serve on the Board of Ed, all right? We need quality people to serve as mayors and town council people. Also making sure that they understand this country's history, understanding who formed this country, where we come from, where they come from. Understanding just knowing where you come from makes you a better person. So you have some accountability for who you are and what you do. So I think that is really important. So making sure that they have the education and the background knowledge and the information that they need to move on.
If I can just follow up, I couldn't really agree more with that. And I think it starts by, and I'm not trying to be dramatic, but if you take a look out at the auditorium and you see the empty seats, and I say this to my daughters all the time, get involved, it's the best thing you can do. When a student sees that their parent is involved, that they're at their plays, that they're at their sporting events, that they come to these things and they are just as invested in their student's education as the student should be, it prompts them to be better citizens. I was a little upset when I asked a few people at an event, hey, what did Central Regional do for 9/11 Remembrance? And my answer was nothing. if that's true or not. I'm not sure. I wasn't in the school because they won't let me go back and redo high school for obvious reasons. But when Ms. Cousins talks about history and learning where we came from and where we're going, that's a part of history. And I find that Central at times just tends to forget certain things and they move on, but not in the right direction. But again, in terms, if your students see and your children see that you are involved and you are invested, they then become invested and they volunteer. And they realize that the best thing and the most important thing you can do and learn is to give of your time. And that's why we're all up here trying to run for 2 seats to give our time. And hopefully some of the students out here realize what their parents are doing for them so that they can pass that on to their children maybe someday.
Thank you. Just to follow up, and I'm going to take a little roundabout way to answer this question. I wholeheartedly agree with these ladies. Civic engagement is pinnacly important. It's been the cornerstone of my family. I watched my dad be a community leader growing up. I mentioned earlier that I was a student congress president, super involved with like these excellent gentlemen right here. And it's really something that is fulfilling and gives our kids a purpose and really allows them to thrive outside of school. And so a platform that I enthusiastically would support is any sort of extracurriculars or any sort of education, your JROTC programs, etc., that include community outreach and civic engagement. And like I keep saying, just connecting the kids in these schools that we're interested to educate with like being part of their larger community. And like I said, I wholeheartedly agree with these ladies. That is how we impart the wisdom on them to be good citizens and productive members of society when they do leave these halls.
As a matter of fact, I was going to go back to Ms. Bowens, but this last question is for everybody, so we're going to pass it right down. And thank you for that answer on the last question, guys. Excellent, by the way. Imagine, Ms. Bowens, and this will go to all of you, that you're at the end of your school board service. What 3 achievements do you want to be most remembered for? It doesn't have to be specifically 3.
The first thing that came to mind echoes kind of what we were just talking about, and for me, it's being someone who is remembered for giving their time. And that looks like serving on the Board of Education for me. Our family is very involved in many ways in the town, and often people will come up to us and say, like, I don't understand, do you guys just do this in your spare time? Like, why do you care so much about these things? And the answer to that is, if you don't get involved, then you are not making change. You have to be the change you want to see in the world. I tell my students that all the time. I believe that we have to model this for the youth of tomorrow. My husband and I tried to model this for our children and my nieces. I believe we do a good job, and it's an easy answer for me when asked that question. Another big goal of mine is to unify. We have 2 districts, Berkeley Township and Central Regional. I've always asked the question since I moved here, almost 13 years ago. In speaking with friends that are teachers and parents and community members, it's often become a very simple answer, and I don't understand why it's just so complex. I understand now because, with children in the district and understanding like how things run with a school board and school district, there are ways to bring together the 2 districts. I understand that it's going to take a lot to do so, and I'm not saying I would support a merger. However, even at the basic level of just really unifying the 2, some would suggest that they're already unified. I see opportunities for growth, and I really do believe at a very basic level, like a calendar, where I have friends who are teachers at Central Regional and have school-age children in Berkeley Township schools. You know, one child is off and the teacher's working. I mean, this really is not best for families. This is such a simple thing. And then you might say busing, I get that. So these are the little facets that we understand as potential board members, but we can bring solutions to these problems. Very simple ones, like common sense solutions. And I do believe we could tackle that. So those are, you said 3, I gave you 2. And I guess maybe if, this is a big part of my why, if my children 25 years from now and our family members asked me, you know, like, Mom, I remember when you ran for school board. Why would you do that? You were so busy. You had us in sports. You were a teacher yourself. You know, Dad was on town council. Like, we just really had a lot of involvement in our town anyway. Why would you have to do that? If I gave them an answer of I made just a slight significant change that really would benefit the families and impact the education of students, and I was able to explain that my civic duty is giving back, and that's just how I chose to give back in my time. There's many different capacities that you can give back in your time, but this is how I chose to do it, and then that would then turnkey encourage them to get involved for their children going forward. I think that's really paving the right path. Thank you.
This is another great question, so thank you again. As I said earlier, there are a lot of things I would love to come in and snap my fingers and fix were I to be elected, but if I had the privilege of serving for one term or multiple terms, I think I would most want to be remembered as somebody that the community put their trust in and followed through on my promises. I think the main one that Meg and I have discussed privately and while campaigning is bringing transparency to the families of the district. One of my core skill sets is large-scale communication, conflict resolution, and as a person who works in marketing, etc., there are a lot of tools out there that we can utilize really easily without increasing the tax burden that I would want to implement immediately. So bringing transparency and better communication to the families. I know when I was here as a student and even in college, having non-user friendly communication is such a detriment to all the stakeholders in education. Next up, I think partnering with the board members and the curriculum committee and kind of anybody who has any sort of say in the hiring or allocation of staff, I would really hope that we can get closer to meeting the individual needs of many of our students. It's been brought to my attention recently that we don't have a ton of specialists here that are certified in different learning differences, different capabilities, and a large majority of the student population faces those. So we really need to make sure that we are giving equitable opportunities to all of our students, and that is a really deep core priority of mine. And then to echo Megan's point, I think just bringing unity, our slogan is education, integrity, and unity, bringing unity to the 2-format district that we're currently facing. Things like bringing a calendar together and shared amenities and that kind of thing. I understand that it's a big goal and it hasn't been done because it's difficult, but we're prepared to take on these big jobs. It just takes a little bit of hard work, but we're all up here because we care, and that's what we want to do. So I think those are my top 3 big lists, and overall, just as an alumnus who really values the education that I received here and was able to thrive with, I would really just hope to keep paying it back and giving equitable opportunities to all the students who come through here so that every single kid who graduates from Central Regional is also able to have a good life going forward and succeed in the career that they choose, and just do whatever is best for them and their family.
answering the same question. I think one thing that I would like to see, and I've mentioned it several times, is to bridge the gap between the community on this side of the parkway and the community on the other side of the parkway. That's something that I really would like to see, and I think it would be something that's a simple problem to be solved. So, one other thing, I think I would like to be known as the person who was fair. So, and if any of my students were ever here and heard me say the word fair, they'd say, but Mrs. Cousins, you always said the world is not fair. And I would say that because, you know, something would happen in the classroom and the kids would, and they would say, but that's not fair. And I said, but the world is not fair. So, but just that my service, you know, was, that it was appreciated, that whatever I did was valued by the people that were there at the time. Whoever is on the board, you know, bringing the board together as a cohesive group, bringing the community as a cohesive group, and also just improving in general, the board doing things to improve the morale of the students and the staff collectively. Like, I just think that is so important because it makes such a big difference on how everybody responds to each other. So those would be the three things: improving the morale, bridging the gap with the communities, and just knowing that my service on the board, that I was able to share information with the board, or background with the board, or culture with the board that they had no information in reference to.
So at the end of the day, first and foremost, what I'd like to say is, again, if I'm elected, lucky number 7, that would be great. In the 97% chance that I probably won't be, I just want these ladies to know that whoever is elected has my full support. And we would then still work together on the parent side to the goals that we all seem to be agreeing upon here. And, you know, we're not just being nice, we just really truly agree on a lot of this stuff. And I think the people who are here agree on it, that the culture has to change and things like that. If elected, and I'm at the end of my term, the 3 things that I want to come away, I would like the community to come away with. I absolutely agree that I would like to be one of the driving forces in bridging the community and the school, because the school is such a central part of the community. No pun intended on the name. The second thing, and I'd like to be a driving force in that, whether it's parent, teacher, advisory committees with board members on it, or, you know, open nights or potluck nights where people just get together and talk respectfully and listen to each other. I'd love that to be part of my legacy. The second thing is I'd like my kids to be proud of the fact that, you know, I talk too much, but I stepped up and did what I said I was going to do, or try to do anyway, and my spouse as well. And the last thing is is what I live by. Did I leave it better than I found it? That's it.
Thank you, guys.
Moderators, that was the perfect final question. I'd like to thank you all again for coming, and I would like to thank our candidates for the insightful and informative responses. It's really inspiring to have such a group of strong, well-spoken professionals with so much relevant knowledge and specialized skills that are needed, who also have the desire to serve our district, which is my alma mater as well. Thank you again, moderators. You did a wonderful job. The PTA is honored to be part of what I hope is the first of many collaborative efforts with the CREA. Joining the PTA is a great way to stay connected to the district and is open to all members of the community. We have some information outside to tell you a little more about what we do. But most importantly, this event would not have happened without the CREA and their ongoing commitment to this district and to the community. Thank you again for all of you do. I'm going to allow the candidates each 1 minute to wrap up what they've said tonight, and then if you can all please join us in the reception area. One more. I know, the kids want snacks, so I promise we're just a couple minutes away. Thank you all.
I just wanted to, again, say thank you so much to the PTA and the CREA. This was a great night. I'm very thankful for the candidates that came out. I think it's really important when you're voting to recognize those who have shown up and those who have really come out to discuss these options and situations and questions and answers. This is what we really should be doing as parents. I really commend all of you for showing up. I know that it was broadcasted on Channel 21. So for those who are watching, even on Channel 21, we thank you for watching, and we hope that you will reach out to Danielle and I should you have any questions. We have a Facebook page that is just our campaign, our first names, last name for Central Regional Board of Education. We are happy to talk to you. We are happy to answer any of your questions. I hope that some of your questions were answered tonight. And we look forward to meeting with you and talking with you out in the little common area. Thank you again.
Again, I really want to sincerely thank all of you who care enough and continue to care and invest your time in education and in the Golden Eagles. I really hope that you all understand how much pride I take in this district and being an alumnus here. I am really thrilled that I don't know if any of you were taking notes, totally fine if you weren't, but each one of us this evening used 3 words, and they are cornerstone, support, and thrive. And Megan and I's campaign slogan again is education, integrity, and unity. And it's really heartening to see that 4 different candidates coming from different angles are so dedicated to the same goal. And I think that really speaks well for all of us who are here this evening. And like I said earlier, I think this really is a district that we all deserve to be proud of and excited about. And no matter who wins any of us on this stage, we will continue to support this district to the best we can, throwing all of our resources behind it, all of our skills, and just really continue to try to better this place so every student has great opportunities. Thank you all again so much for coming this evening.
Thank you PTA, thank you Central Regional Education Association for hosting this and for inviting us out. I do want to quickly say that I am running on a ticket with Kia Pua, and he was unable to attend tonight because he's in a boot and he had a very important appointment with the doctor tonight that he had to go to, so he's not here, but he is running with me. I will say to you that we do have a Facebook page, and it is under Carol Cousins and Kia Pua, and so any questions can be directed to the Facebook page. Thank you just for those that are here, for coming out, and I hope that as we move forward, doesn't matter who's sitting on the stage of 9 board members, but no matter who's here as a board member, they need your support. So please stay in touch with the board members that are here, because moving forward, things change. They're going to need the help of the community at large, and so make sure that you make yourselves available to them. Thank you, and have a good night.
Thank you again to the PTA and to the Central Regional Education Association for hosting this. Thank you for coming out. I guess my message here is please tell people to come out to these things. Please don't just come to board meetings when it's budget time. Please just don't come if you don't agree with the curriculum. I mean, come on those days, but respectfully state why you disagree or agree with things, but come out and be involved. And when you all spoke about community involvement, and this, again, is where the community comes in. Don't just come out at times where it's budget time. Everybody wants to save on their taxes, we get that. And I just want to say that, and again, I go with the long shot, but I firmly, honestly believe that I will do the very best job if elected. You will not get a more dedicated individual, and I really hope that 7 is your lucky number. And thanks for coming out, and let's go Mets. Now I can turn it Oh, I'm sorry, and thank you to the moderators who just take it out of the